Yes, it's recording. Okay, so this is mainly talking about angles that we missed, and so going over angle addition and all that stuff. So go ahead and draw two intersecting lines, and I'm using the first top three lines at the top of my paper. And then go ahead and number them. I'm going to start with the left side and go clockwise. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's see if this pink shows up on the paper. If it doesn't, I'll pick a different color. How many degrees would you guesstimate that angle 1 is? 45? Any other guesses? 35? Okay, so let's go in the middle. Let's say it's 40. Is that okay? So if angle 1 is 40, how do we get the angle measures for all the other ones? Because I'm going to tell you, you only need one angle measure when we have two intersecting lines. What do you guys think? Is 3 the same? Yes. So I will tell you, 3 is the same, but we're going to have to prove it. We're going to have to explain how we know that 3 is the same. And to do that, we're actually going to use angles 2 and 4. So how many degrees? I'm going to actually cover up 3 and 4, and we're just going to talk about 1 and 2. How many degrees would 1 and 2 share? How do you guys know that they share 180? Because it makes a straight angle. Yes, you're allowed, and I talked to you about this last class. I think I remember talking to at least some of my classes. Hopefully I talked to you guys. That these two angles added together do form a straight angle, and we are assuming that it's straight. And I told you that they intersect in lines, so yes, you can assume that it's straight. This is actually a special type of angle. It's called a linear pair. I'm going to write that down. Angle 1. Oh, yes, I love this color. It does show up nicely. Angle 1 and angle 2 are a linear pair. Angle 1 and angle 2 are a linear pair. The linear pair theorem states that two angles that form a linear pair are always going to be this. And it starts with a S and it ends with a supplementary. What do you think that word is? Supplementary. Very good. So the linear pair theorem, I'm going to add that little bit of notes. Linear pair theorem. Basically, angles are always supplementary. And we'll talk about supplementary in like a minute or two. So these two angles will always be supplementary. That's the linear pair theorem. If it comes up, you'll know. So how would I actually find angle 2 if I know that angle 1 is 40? Yep, that's what we would do. So let's go ahead and do that. Measure of angle 2 is equal to 180 minus 40, which gets us 140. So angle 2 is also 140. Well, I know that 2 and 3 are also going to be supplementary. They're also a linear pair. So that means I would just do the same thing in reverse. That would be proving the linear pair theorem, or yada yada. Same logic applies. We can now assume that angle 3 is also 40. And now we have these two special angles, and those two angles are called something with a V. Something with a V. Ends with a vertical. Yes. So vertical angles Vertical angles theorem. These angles are always congruent. Can you remind me what congruent means? Because it's been a minute since I've seen you. What does it mean to be congruent? Same, how so? So how are 1 and 3 the same? Yes, they're equal. So their measures are the same, they are equal. So angle 1 and angle 3. Then we also have angle 2 and angle 4 would also be vertical. So this is just a little bit of a introduction to the vocabulary that might pop up on the homework. We'll, of course, go over this again, either in the next chapter or the following one. I don't remember. I think in the next one we're going over like proofs and stuff. Okay. I have to look back and see what we're doing exactly. So we've gone over linear pair, and then we've also gone over vertical angles. Let's go back, circle back to supplementary. So supplementary, I'm going to give us an example of this as well. Supplementary angles are two angles that always add up to be a certain degree. What degree is that? Two angles that always, or that add, I should say, to equal 180 degrees. And how I remember that, I think of the starting letter as S, and so I think of straight, how that forms a straight angle. They have some alliteration going. They have the same starting letter. Supplementary, straight. What would be an example of two angles that add to be 180 degrees? That would be supplementary. You can give me any angle number less than 180 and it will work. So what's one angle? 90. So 90 is one angle. What would have to be the other angle? 90 as well. 90 and 90 work. What's another combination? 100, so that's going to look like that. 100, and then what would be the complement to, or sorry, what would be the supplement to 100? 80. So I use that vocab word supplement, meaning what would add to make it supplementary. What is the supplement pair? You guys did pretty well with that vocab word. Okay, I'm going to add in an example for you guys to try. I'm not going to draw it out, so you guys are welcome to try it without drawing it out or draw it out and try it. So here's example 1. Angle W and angle T are supplementary. I'm going to abbreviate supplementary, just supple. I'm going to tell you that the measure of angle W, remember little m stands for measure. Measure of angle W is 2x plus 30. And then measure of angle T is 2x minus 10. My question to you is, what would be each one of those angles? So what would actually be the measure of angle W in degrees, and what would be the measure of angle T in degrees? What do you think? We're tired this morning. What should I do to set up an equation and solve for x first? What do you think? Are they equal to each other? No. What does it mean when they're supplementary? Add to equal 180. That's my little reminder. I got to add them to equal them to 180. So do you have a correction? Do you have a correction for creating an equation? It's okay if you get it wrong. I want to know if you understand it now. Uh-huh. Okay. Yep, they add to each other and then you equal it to 180. I know what you're saying. Words are hard when you're tired. I get it. Go ahead and take a moment to do that. I'm going to pause this. Resumed. Okay, it is resumed. What should I do first? Combine like terms. Yep, combine like terms. So we get uh-huh. You got it. And then okay. Sweet. Cool. I know 16 divided by 4 is 4. Yeah, 4. So we gotta take on the 10 or the ones place. Yep, x is 40. So we are looking for w and t. We would plug those in. And what would w be? 2 times 40 plus 30. I got that. 110. Very nice. LNT would be, oh, there's two ways to do that, right? The way that I'm doing it, which is plugging it in, what would be the other way? You could subtract it from 180. I'm going to double check. When you add 70 and 110 together, what do we get? So it worked out, right? Okay, cool. The last special vocabulary, the missing part that we are going over is dealing with two angles that add to be 90. Do you remember what that vocab word is called? Two angles that add to be 90. Do you remember it from a previous math class? Starts with a C. Yeah, complementary, and I wrote it down. Complementary, it's spelled with an E, and so it's not really spelled correctly because when we think of, I think they're called homonyms, homophones. They are spelled differently. They sound the same, but they have different meaning. So whatever that vocab word is called in English, complementary with an I, complementary with an I means to like pay someone a nice comment. So you're like giving them a compliment. I think it's right. It's right to compliment people. I'm going to just say compliment others. Whoa, spelling others with an extra E like a silly Willy. Okay, it's right to compliment others. So two complementary angles that add to be 90 degrees. Two angles. Whoops. That add to be 90 degrees. I hear some snoring. Is someone asleep? Are we awake now? I don't know if it was just heavy breathing. I think it was just heavy breathing because they picked up their head. I don't know if it was you. I know it's really early. Okay, 2 angles that add to be 90. What are 2 angles that you can think of that add to be 90? Sweet. I like it. Those are good examples. So 45 degrees and 45 degrees. Just do the squiggle again. We're going to pretend those are both equal. And then 30 and 60, 38 degrees. And 60 degrees, so it's like double that. My pictures are not drawn to scale, but I tried real hard. And then I do have room. Sweet, I love it when I have room on the paper to do the last example and I don't have to go to another page. It's so satisfying. Example 2, L and M, these angles L and M are complements. And I'm going to abbreviate that like comple. Okay? They're complements. Measure of angle L is represented by the expression 2x plus 25 degrees. And the measure of angle M can be represented by 4x plus 11. I want to know, same thing that I wanted to know last time. I know I have a lot of wants, I have a lot of need to knows. The measure of angle L, and I want to know what is the measure of angle M. You guys feel better about trying this one versus the last one now that you've seen it? Okay, so they're complementary. Go ahead and set up an equation to solve. I'm going to pause the video. What would be the equation to set up these 2 complementary angles? So the time before we just wrote it out, I'll write it out again. But know that you can combine like terms if you don't like to do that. So I'm going to write it out again, and then I'll combine like terms. Instead of equal to 180, these are complementary, so what should they add to equal? Beautiful. So let's go ahead and add them to equal 90. Combine like terms. I am going to run out of space. Okay. 4 and 2 gets me 6x plus, and then 25 and 11. 36 equals 90. And then what do I do then? Yep, minus the 36 over. Get 6x equals 54? 54? Okay. I know, I always have to remember to borrow or like carry the one. I like to think of it like what plus 36 will get you 90. And so then you have to borrow or carry. Anyways, mental math. It's fun. Is that 9? Okay, I almost said 7. Okay, so 9, and then we plug it in. So what is the measure of L? Is 2 times 9 plus 25. I agree. That's 18 plus 25. And yeah, that it gets you 43 or 42. 43. Okay, 43. And then for this one, instead of plugging to M, I want to subtract from 90. So what would M have to be? Yes, 47 is good. And these 2 angles would get you 90. How much fun was that? It was like a party, right? It was basically a party. Okay,